Blah 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 blah.
Hello everybody and welcome to I'll Tell You What TV, the F1 podcast, where we are going to be talking about the upcoming Spanish Grand Prix as well as a few other items. Joining us tonight obviously is myself, Steve and James. We do also have a special guest this evening in the form of Ray Ironside, who is Steve's new teammate in the F1 league that Steve competes in. So hello Steve, hello James, and hello Ray. How are you all this evening?
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello.
Hello, and I'm fine.
Good. Everybody sounding super energetic this evening. I know I'm not.
I just thought it was a change that we all actually responded to you.
Well, I was half expecting a triple silence. Probably would have killed my confidence too much. But yeah, I know I'm not in the best of place at the moment. Steve has probably just been sunbathing all day. James has been sucking on a few too many sticky things by the sounds of it. Got a bit of a sore throat. And Ray's Scottish, so no one's going to understand him at all. But we are going to be talking about the Spanish Grand Prix that's coming up this weekend, as I mentioned. We're going to be getting our predictions done as well. Perhaps talking about a little bit of F1 news that has come out in the last week. But I just wanted to start you guys off with a breaking story. Not today, it was a breaking story on the 27th of April that I saw on Facebook, and I thought it was a story that I think you guys would be really fascinated by. Alright, so it's quite an important story, this. So here we go. A midget was stuck in a poo bin for 3 days after falling in while disposing of a bag.
For me.
What?
For 3 days.
For 3 days. Now, I'm not trying
Is
to
that
be.
my weight?
It might have been. You'll be 6 feet under if you call her a midget. Now, this, I don't mean any offence to any of the vertically challenged. Go on, James.
He must have got hungry. What did he eat?
Nothing.
You sure?
Yeah, he was found by a Preston Council worker who was emptying the park bins. The 3-foot-tall man was unconscious and severely dehydrated, so he was rapidly transported to a hospital where he was admitted in a critical condition. So it's not funny, guys. I can't believe you bastards laughed. Now, the person who found him said, "I opened the bin and saw this little guy upside down. At first, I simply laughed, but then I realised he was almost dead and I called 999. But yeah, I thought, you see, you've got to be careful of dog bins, dog waste bins. They're dangerous things, they are.
Well, I wonder if that's what made him unconscious as well.
It wouldn't be a nice place to be, would it?
Well, talking of small people, there were a cardboard. On the way home, Vicky asked me to go pick up some prescription contact lenses.
Oh, right. Okay.
No, yeah, actually, no, I saw a sign for that. They sell it in bloody Sainsbury's, or like, is it? So yeah, she asked me to go pick up some contact lenses. As I'm walking out the door, they had a cardboard cutout of Kylie in Specsavers wearing designer glasses.
All right.
And I thought, if that's life size, her head must have been where my nipples are. She was well small. I couldn't believe it. I was like, that can't be real, because if she's really that small, the people would think she were a little kid.
She is tiny. She's not very tall at all. I think 5 foot.
I'll find out for you.
Okay.
But I know she's not very tall at all.
Tall
So
at all.
I wonder how would she be classed as a midget if she fell into?
I don't
bit.
know.
Only if she fell in.
Yeah. I don't know.
She doesn't pick up her dog poo.
No, somebody else does it for her. I don't know what the height would be for you to be classified as vertically challenged. quick segue from vertically challenged to drivingly challenged, new word there. I was looking a little bit about F1 news, and apparently, I was surprised to see this actually. Williams, right, appealed Sergei Sirotkin's 3-place grid penalty from Baku that gets applied in Spain, right? And I can't even understand how they could apply for an appeal, because they've not appealed he's not been penalised for the contact with Alonso as far as I know. He was penalised for ramming into the back of cars in turn 2, but they've appealed the penalty, and the FIA have simply rejected it, which I'm not surprised by. Now, Ted Kravitz has said, I can't blame Williams for trying to overturn Sirotkin's grid penalty for Spain. New evidence will include his testimony. Well, unless his testimony is, well, I didn't realise there was 18 cars in front of me when I hit the brakes, I don't think he's got a leg to stand on, really.
No, I can't see how he's going to get away with that one at all. I did see something else to do with it, but I don't know if you mentioned the next part of Williams's appeal. Do you know about the other part of their appeal?
No, go on.
They've put I forgot the terminology for it, but basically they're saying that there was an error made by the stewards because car 17 was under investigation when in fact it should have been 14, and it should have been Fernando Alonso on how he returned to the pit lane.
Yeah, car 17 were retired because that were Bianchi, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it was supposed to be car 14.
Oh, so
Jesus.
So Williams are appealing it on the fact that the FIA put the wrong number on the screen.
Yes.
Which has nothing to do with Sirotkin's crash.
No, but they want Fernando's return to the pits to be reinvestigated.
Well, they could investigate it, but what are they going to come up with? A guy drove a car that, okay, probably should have been parked up, but managed to get it back to the pits without really impeding or making contact with anybody else, continued on the race and scored points.
Well, the way I see it, though, is he's at the back of the grid. Well, after the incident, everything's gone past him. It's not like he's got more cars in half a lap's time coming up behind him. He knows he's got a clear run back to the pit lane with nothing coming up behind him.
Yeah.
So you could say he could be dropping more debris on the road between where he's had his incident and trying to get back to the pit lane. But what's the difference between him having 2 punctures and getting back to the pit lane, and a car having 1 puncture and getting back to the pit lane that we see quite often?
Well, the difference is that Fernando Alonso is now classed as having raced in Formula 1, raced in World Endurance Championship, raced in Le Mans, and raced in MotoGP, because he's done two-wheel racing as well.
Apparently.
Yeah. I mean, I can't see how. I mean, it's a bit sideways. That, I mean, okay, if they want the stewards to have another look into Alonso's return to the pits, then fair enough. But it doesn't mean that has any effect whatsoever on what happens to Sirotkin, because. No. I mean, okay, what penalty are they going to give Fernando Alonso for getting a broken car back to the pits? A time penalty, a drive-through penalty, or what? The lap back to the pits and the time spent in the pits was a massive amount of time lost as it is, and I don't think it even needs warranting looking at. I don't think it would affect affect that race. If they were going to implement a penalty now, it would have to be for the upcoming race. It'd have to be a grid penalty of some sort. They wouldn't go back and say, okay, we're going to take some seconds off your race or anything like that. Yeah.
Not after this length of time.
James, any views on that?
Well, it's a bit late, isn't it? That's all I think. I mean, there's people there all the time. It just kind of reminds me of. Do you remember when Vettel won the title in 2012? And then people were appealing that he shouldn't have won the title in Brazil because of all yellow flag business. And it just came across a bit desperate from Ferrari. I just think this is a bit desperate from Williams, and no offence, but
They're not going to benefit for anything
They're
from
not
it,
going
are
to
they?
benefit, so what's the point? They just need to sort the shit out and stop moaning about everybody else.
Ray, any thoughts?
Nah, he done it safely, so I don't see why he should be getting a penalty or even looked back into.
No, I agree. I mean, if he did anything wrong, teams should have complained about it at that time and let the stewards deal with it and look at it. And if the stewards have put the wrong number on the screen, but decided, well, it doesn't matter whether the number's right or wrong, we've looked at it, nothing's wrong, then a team is just being a bit spiteful, saying re-look into that. A little bit more F1 news for you is: have any of you heard about Kevin James's favourite driver, Kevin Magnussen's comments about "I'll die in the car. I'm happy to die in the car."
I've heard about this.
I'm happy to kill him. Just give me a gun, I'll shoot him in his car.
Well, the thing is, right, we've talked before about how the media, how media sources present stuff. We talked about it with that blonde bombshell so-called F1 racing driver, and how the media skewed, we'll just say screwed her, how the media skewed what she'd said, right, to make it more of a story. And it turns out that this is a similar thing, because it was portrayed that after the Baku race, and we talked about the incident between Magnussen and Gasly, it was portrayed that afterwards Magnussen had said, well, when you're battling in the midfield, you've got nothing to lose, you might as well just go for everything. I'm happy to die in the car and risk everything. That is how the media put it out there, until I'm looking into this a bit more today and find out that Magnussen has seen what's happened and gone, right, I think I need to kind of clarify what's happened here. And it turns out that he was actually interviewed before Baku, right, and was having a general conversation, right, with the interviewer, and that interviewer has then turned that conversation into a story out of nothing from the Baku Grand Prix, which I must admit, it's starting to piss me off a little bit. So here's what I'll tell you what Magnussen said afterwards. This is when he wanted to clarify what had happened. He says the interview was done before the race in Baku and is not minded on the incident with Gasly in the race. I didn't squeeze Gasly on purpose and have apologised to him many times after the incident. Says, I don't want to die in a race car. I was expressing my willingness to give absolutely everything in my power to achieve success. Success to me, obviously, isn't having accidents or getting penalties. Just bear with me a second, my webpage just crashed. So it isn't about having accidents or getting penalties, but finishing races in as high a position as possible. I am living my childhood dream of racing in Formula 1, and I've put my whole life into achieving that dream, so it is only natural for me to be giving it absolutely everything I've got to achieve success in racing, and the day I no longer do that, I will retire from racing immediately, which is where James says, that's about now then. But I must admit, again, it's media screwing with everything, because this is basically the line that he'd been put out, or was put out after Baku, with him saying, he says, I will give everything, I will die in the car, I won't hold back, I would put my life on the line. So this is the story that's coming out after Baku that basically portrays the image of, well, I don't give a fuck if he's next to me, I'm going to risk my life to beat him. And it's like, hang on a minute, it's media bullshit once again.
Thing is, though, a lot of people would read it and believe it.
Yeah.
Because it's the sort of person that you can go, I can believe that from him.
Well, that is true. That is very, very true. Well, that's all I've got from a few stories from Baku anyway. I just want to quickly mention, if anyone listening to this is having any problems with listening to the broadcast, I do apologise. I seem to be having some random issues with my internet at the moment, and I'm not entirely sure why. Just wondering if you guys got anything else you want to mention from Baku or anything like that.
Well, not necessarily from Baku, but it's something that the FIA have clarified this week, and that is the new front wings and rear wings for next season. I I've been reading up on this, and apparently it wasn't even a majority of the teams that had voted for a change. Apparently, it was a minority that favoured it, but the FIA, some loophole, the FIA have found some sort of loophole within their own rules that allows them to implement the change to the aero for next season without the all teams or even a majority in favour of it. But I've seen. Go on.
I think that's good though, because like I've said many times on here, who enters a competition, and then as soon as you enter the competition, you assume that you've got rights over the rules of the competition. You enter the competition, and then you get given the rules. That's the way it always should be.
Yeah, I mean, you don't see athletes entering the 100 metres at the Olympics and then going, actually, can we make it to 60 metres, because I can only run 60 metres fast. After 60, I'm a bit shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
I mean, Williams would love that. Can we make the race really short? Because if we make them one lap long, we've got a chance.
Oh, actually, they haven't. They need to make it one corner long. I mean, Sorokin gets around turn 1 and then race over. But I thought it was interesting as well today, though. I saw that Williams have been letting Sky into their base today or over the last few days. I don't know whether it's doing like a piece for the next race to show, but I think Williams realised we're in a bit of shit and we need to get a little bit of media attention, a bit like how McLaren did with their Grand Prix driver TV series. I think Williams are thinking, you know what, maybe we just need to get a little bit of publicity, perhaps get some more sponsors in, show people what problems we're having so they don't just think we are shit.
Yeah,
either that or the sponsors are saying we're not getting enough TV time. You need to have your own TV program.
But isn't it weird how I don't understand why all teams haven't jumped on this. I mean, you think about when you buy a DVD now. I mainly, well, not a DVD, a Blu-ray. If I'll only ever buy one if it's got like really good special features. So you not only get the film, you get all the behind-the-scenes stuff. And I don't understand how teams aren't just going, this is free publicity to get our name out there.
Yeah.
So even if we are shit, if we can get people to look at us and think, oh, I might want to give them some money, that's more money to help us get further up the grid.
Yeah, I mean, you look at top football teams. You got Man United, Liverpool, Chelsea. They've all got their own like TV channels, so to speak. You got MUTV, CTV, LUFC TV. So they football teams or clubs have realised a few years ago that, you know what, we can produce our own content and we can show stuff that most people don't get to see, but we also have full control over it, so stuff that we don't want to show doesn't get shown.
Exactly. But I mean, it's just bonkers, isn't it? I mean, I don't understand. I mean, that documentary for McLaren, it was really, really short, really, the one that they produced on Amazon. But you could have like a weekly roundup, an hour, go up on Netflix or Amazon Prime, and all it has to be is like, it shows like a meeting with top execs in whatever race team it is, and then like how it funnels down to the average Joe working on the car, even down to like, I don't know, maybe not the cleaners, but you know, show the bottom run of the people that are working night and day, and then when it shows something like Max Verstappen and Danny Ricciardo crashing into each other, you sort of appreciate the fact that loads and loads of people have worked on the car, and it's not just two guys that are stubborn and want to beat each other.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a bad point, that. It's not a bad point at all. I mean, they could take it as far as they wanted, and teams probably should do that more. I think a lot of teams, though, are still stuck in that mindset of secrecy. And you need a bit of secrecy, but at the same time,
Well, that's it. I mean, you just do what the American media does. Something you don't want to see, you edit it out. But I'm sure there's going to be tons of, like with the thing with the McLaren documentary. It started the documentary, Ron Dennis has been let go. It didn't start with, let's have an in-depth conversation with Ron Dennis getting sacked.
Yeah,
because they didn't want to show that. But yeah, you know what I mean. That would be interesting.
It would. I mean, even if they showed bits like, because I'm pretty sure that their race briefings or even like when the drivers get to like they're going to be going to Spain this weekend. When the drivers get there, they're going to have a pre any session meeting of what their plans are for the weekend, and they could. I'm surprised if all of that is recorded, but they could show bits of that or even bits of like the post race briefing. Obviously not all the technical data, but a little bit like FOM did with the drivers' briefings where they showed some really funny bits. Teams could do that as well, or even the heated moments. Like, could you imagine how many hits a video would get of the Red Bull team meeting after Ricciardo and Verstappen crashed?
Oh, yeah. It'd break just like watching Christian Horner just having full-on meltdown in front of Jerry Halliwell. Brilliant.
The thing is, it'd break the internet. So many people would watch it, it'd break the internet. So I think teams should go that way. Now, something else that I think was kind of close to breaking the internet this week, and I know Steve messaged me about it. It was something I was going to mention anyway. We'll see if James and Ray know anything about this. I will show a picture on the podcast screen of the news about the potential Miami Grand Prix. Now, Steve, like I said, you sent me the image of it a few days ago, so I'm interested to know what your thoughts are of the track, the layout, racing in Miami.
I think the picture of it I've seen looks like a big penis.
I love the way. Steve, give us your views. James in there. But I had the same thought as you, James. I was like, hang on a minute, that looks like a
thin member.
Yes. So come on then, give us your thoughts on Miami.
My thoughts are, I remember when F1 raced at Long Beach, and that was Florida, and that was not a bad racetrack. That was a pretty cool racetrack, and for me, what I've seen of the layout, and also I've Google Earthed it and zoomed in and looked at what kind of roads are, what kind of corners it'd be. It comes across as a bit of a glorified Formula E circuit.
Well,
and I don't like it.
I'm not sure if it's where the big hairpin is, or the long straights to the hairpin. I've got a feeling it's where IndyCar have raced down into the. I remember seeing Sato wipe out a few cars in a very tight hairpin at Miami before, but I've not looked into if it's the same bit of racetrack.
The one that you thinking of, that's the one where it's part on a runway and part on public road.
No.
Yeah, there's one in, I think it's Miami, where they run on a bit of an airstrip. The pit straight's on an airstrip, but it's all like temporary and it's all they're all like full of tents basically, and it does look like glorified Formula E. And I just don't think it's what Formula One needs. Formula One, in my opinion, should be race circuits, with the odd exception of maybe like you've got Baku, you've got Monaco, but they should have them. There's enough decent racetracks out there. We don't need to go street racing, in my opinion.
Well, that's it. I mean, even if you are going to do a street race, if you're an American, right, and you're into your motorsport, are you going to be more interested to see? Obviously, you have like your Indy cars and stuff. Wouldn't it be good to see an F1 car go around an IndyCar circuit so that you could appreciate the difference? Or do you think an American wouldn't understand that.
Well, they might. I mean, it's not a bad idea. I mean, I don't think the base F1 fan would like the idea of an oval, but at the same time, I mean, it is a test of an engine. Full
but
power.
They have the. I think it's the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. They've got the infield, which they used to go on, and also I think Daytona's got an infield, so it would be half. It would be half oval and then half infield, so you get a bit of both.
The Daytona one, I think, could be an interesting one for F1 cars, but I'd just say two simple words: Laguna Seca.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that would be interesting. I mean, there's plenty of circuits in America. I mean, you've got Watkins Glen as well.
Yeah. Road America. I'm just trying to think of the other one that we've raced on PlayStations before, Project Cars. There's the one Simona, is it?
The Simona.
It's not Sonoma. Yeah. It's Sonoma.
Sonoma. Yeah, I used to know that circuit as something else. I can't remember what it used to be called.
But yeah, on Project Cars 2, there is the Long Beach circuit, which is the IndyCar circuit, and that's really, really good.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at this potential track layout, and I'm thinking, okay, I don't know where the start finish would be. I don't know where the pit lane would be. I don't know which direction they'd go around the track. But I am guessing it would be on the run towards the hairpin. They would be heading to it on the lower black line and heading away from it on the top black line. So sort of an anti-clockwise track. An anti-clockwise track. But I then look at it and go, okay, where's your overtaking position? So if we go from the long hairpin, heading over the water, you've got another tight hairpin, that's one overtaking position place. And then the next corner, no. All right, now we're back at the hairpin. So you've got two overtaking places on the whole track. What's the point? Yeah. What is the point?
Exactly.
I want a track that you can overtake and then try come back. Like Baku, there was good racing between the Red Bulls until they buggered it up, but I like a track where you can get overtakes and then get your place back.
Definitely.
Well,
go on, James.
I mean, the best race circuit for move after move would probably be Sector 1 and Sector 3 of Turkey. That were just absolutely every corner led. You know, if you went defensive, you have to go defensive in the next corner, and then defensive in the next corner. And it just create opportunity after opportunity. Yeah. Whereas now it's just DRS straight, heavy braking, done. That's it. It's like, so no matter which one you defend, the other person's gone past anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I know you, James, sent us. Sorry, I'm having problems with the internet here. It may be cutting out the stream every now and again. Apologies for that, folks. I know you, James, sent us a link to the DTM race at Hockenheim recently. I didn't actually get a chance to watch that, but I did see a video that Gary Paffett had put out on Facebook, and he basically said, here's a short video clip of my overtakes from the Hockenheim DTM race. It's 6 minutes long. That tells you everything you need to know. And it literally was 6 minutes of him and the leader overtaking, defending, repassing, overtaking, defending, all the way around Hockenheim. Now, I prefer the old original Hockenheim circuit, but even the current Hockenheim circuit, for DTMs at least, creates a numerous amount of possibilities for overtaking.
No, definitely. But I think that's, unfortunately, try tell Herman Tilke that. I mean, I don't understand how he's in a job. I mean, his early work, like the Turkish Grand Prix,
Malaysia, where they've stopped going to.
Yeah, but I just don't understand. Like, his stuff now, I could design it. It's just, we've got a street circuit, Herman. Oh yeah, let's have a look. Oh, well, what it is you've got to make a racetrack around it. Okay. He ain't got to do any work. All he does is just join the dots, dot to dot. That's all he has to do. Oh, well, go up that street and then up that street. There's no actual effort put into actually designing out.
Well, you know, USA Circuit of the Americas, was that a Herman Tilke track?
No.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh no, the Circuit America. I was thinking Road America.
Oh right, no, Circuit of the Americas, right? I've been hearing a lot of stories recently how the owners of the racetrack are considering the possibility of having to dig up the whole racetrack because the whole location is sinking. Right?
Yeah.
It's sinking so badly that they're potentially going to have to dig it all up and relay another foundation of concrete to then be able to put a racetrack on it. And I'm like, hang on a minute, you're talking multi-million-pound construction projects, and they're not getting it. I mean, if that was a building, it'd be on the floor.
Do you know? Do you know it's actually built on top of polystyrene?
Yeah.
Yeah, because the ground is so sodden and uneven. They pack it with polystyrene, big thick wedges of polystyrene, and then concrete on top of it, to help it float on top of the wet ground underneath.
Not fucking working though, is it?
No. and then they wonder why the circuit doesn't dry out.
Yeah, I mean, India was it? Sorry, not India. There's another one. Korea is another one that was built on marshland, bogland, and that has had problems. And I'm kind of glad we don't race there anymore. But there is another one.
Yeah, and mainly because you've got random Koreans jumping in a van and driving down straight in the middle of a race.
Oh, that is true.
Sao Paulo is on a marshland, but it's never had a problem with it as far as I'm aware.
That is an interesting one for me. That was land that was deemed to be uninhabitable for humans. The ground is not safe enough, but they've managed to have a racetrack on it for how many years now with no major problems.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, well. But
I think the majority of the races that have been Herman Tilke jobs, like you say, they've been rush jobs. It's been, right, we've got 2 years to make a circuit, get it made, and they're like on like marshland. It's like, why not proper take your time?
Yeah.
You can tell that stuff's been rushed. I mean, I think, well, that Korean circuit, they were showing pictures on BBC going, oh, well, this is what it's going to look like in future, and they're going to build a city around it and all this shit. Who's going to want to build, like you say, who's going to want to build a fucking skyscraper on bogland? You know what I mean? Nobody,
as long as you live in the top floor, you're fine.
If you're on the top floor, it's further to fall.
Until it starts slanting, all your photo frames you've got to put on a slant because the building's going to one side.
Yeah, but just think, if you're in the top floor, it's less stairs you have to walk up each year.
Oh dear. I mean, it's like Steve says though, there are more than enough brilliant racetracks around the world that have been taken off the calendar for whatever reason, and some of them have been brilliant racetracks, and they just haven't had the fan attendance. But then that's down to marketing.
That cracked me up, Dave. You know, they were saying about the reason German Grand Prix has been taken off at calendar is because there's not enough people watching. When it showed at the beginning of that DTM race, it says we've got a sell-out crowd here at Hockenheim.
Yeah.
So clearly, people love motorsport in Germany.
Mm-hmm.
But did Formula One ever send out a thing saying, what is it you don't like about Formula One and why?
Well, the thing is,
you know what I mean? Just try and get some sort of market research.
From what I can remember, though, the last two races at Hockenheim were sold out in Formula One. I think one of the difficulties with it was the prices of the tickets was still higher than people wanted to pay, which is understandable. The tickets are not cheap. And I do think that's wrong to a degree. I mean, if you want full stadiums, okay, you may have a bottom line figure you need to meet, but you're never going to meet it if you ain't got people coming through the door. And that's something that I know football clubs have learnt, that if they go with the attitude of, well, we need to make more money, let's put our prices up, what happens is people stop coming, and then they've got even less money coming in. Instead of, right, let's keep the prices at a decent level, we can get people in the door, and then, hey, you know what, they may actually spend 5, 10, 15, 20 pound on food, on merchandise, on that kind of stuff, and we can make the money in anyway. But I mean, I do think that for years in a number of locations, the marketing was very, very poor. I mean, there's one thing I will say about I don't know if it's FOM or Liberty Media that are doing it more nowadays, but you look at Baku, for example, there's big buildings with giant, enormous, like, visual posters on, and I don't know whether that's just a TV thing, but having said that, I do remember Kravitz, talking on the telly and saying, look at that, and reading what it was saying on the poster. And that's stuff that they didn't have in places like Korea, in India, in China. They just simply weren't advertising it. And in Bernie Ecclestone's reign, a lot of it was, well, it's down to the race promoters to, like, the racetrack owners to promote it, not Formula One. But I think that's where Formula One got it wrong. Formula One needed to go, we're coming to your town in a month, so we're going to advertise it like fuck for a month.
Yeah. Exactly.
When the Super Bowl goes to different stadiums, do you think it's up to the stadiums to promote it, or do you think the Super Bowl promote it?
The NFL promote it.
Exactly, it's not up to the individual stadiums, is it?
No, I mean, the NFL actually do, and it's same with even in wrestling with WrestleMania, they do a full week before promotions where it's meet and greets with the players. There's so many things going on in the week build up to the event. And a little bit like with the Indy 500. The Indy 500 is a month-long event, not, oh, it's a race weekend. It's a month-long event.
Yeah, I think the qualifying is like a week before the actual race.
But yeah, I just don't seem to... I mean, I bet Bernie Ecclestone just thought, oh, well, the way I see it, the more I can get done without spending money, the better.
Yeah.
Which is fair enough. But then what he didn't see were, well, hang on, if I actually put some effort in, more people are going to come to the race. And even if... I mean, I don't understand as well, like, if you've got people queuing up and you haven't got a sold out... I don't understand football stadiums that have got like half-empty seats.
Yeah.
Because why on earth don't they do, right, 5 minutes before the match starts, we, at that point, give the best seats to the people who've got tickets, and if you've not got tickets, the top tiers, which are as far away from the pitch as possible, let people in for £2. Just fill up the top bit for £2. And the people that have got tickets, they get closer to the pitch, so they get a better view. And just fill up the stadium. There's so many England games where I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't go because it's football, but
yeah,
you just like...
I know
in a country that's
come at a Scottish game.
Fucking hell, yeah. In Scotland, yeah. I mean, I know it's bad in Scotland. I know what you're saying, James. I mean, in all honesty, it is a great idea. Practically, no, though, it's not possible to do because being able to move about the stadium is not that simple. But it would be good, like if you had an announcement where you said, right, okay, you can now move to seats for like closer to the pitch, then people would just move to seats closer to the pitch. I mean, a lot of it comes down to pricing though. I mean, I'm trying to think, Steve, if you looked into it, Derby County season tickets not that long ago, you're just out of interest had a look at the pricing.
I did look, but I'm trying to remember how much it was, and I think the full season was, if it was your first season ticket, about £600. Your second season, or so, you know, for so many seasons after that, it does get cheaper, but your first season is a more expensive one.
Yeah.
But the children's season tickets are very cheap.
But that's the thing, though. The children's are cheap, which is right, but the adults. So you're looking at £600 for a season ticket for the adult. Let's say if it's half that price for the children.
No.
Say again, mate.
I'll just tell you now, I've got it up on the screen. So Derby County season tickets prices, adult at $625 on renewal, but $665 new.
Yeah. So 665. How much for a children's?
It depends what category as well.
Well behaved and not well behaved.
No, the cheapest adults $399 renewal, $439 for a new one. Children, 2 to 12, 13 to 14.
So
I'll do the 13 to 14. 165 renewal, 179 new.
Okay, so you're looking
the adult, the children is way cheap compared to the adult.
Yeah, so you're looking then at about £800 for one adult, one child for a season. But if you're a parent that's got 2 or 3 children, obviously that's going to go from 800 to 950 to 11. So say 1,200 quid if you've got 3 kids. So
no, you don't take the kids because you go to the pub afterwards.
That's true. But what I want to do there, okay, right? Let's say 1,200 quid for one adult, 3 kids, right? That's for a season. Now price up Silverstone for one adult, 3 kids for the weekend. You're probably looking about the same fucking price.
No, it's more than that. Because I know that when we look for, I'm pretty sure when I look for 2 adults for the weekend, it was about £2,000, about £1,000 a person.
Yeah, and that is the answer to why a lot of people don't go when they would love to.
I mean, it can be done cheaper than what I've just said, but I was looking at, for me in my current situation, I'm not in a situation where, because of my bad back, I can't go camping. So I'd have to have a bed and breakfast and transport to the circuit for qualifying and for the race and back again. So you could probably get Silverstone for 700-800 quid for the weekend if you ain't camping at the circuit, but I don't think I'd be able to do that.
What one do you want? A 4-day weekend, a 3-day weekend?
3-day weekend, so practice sessions, qualifying and the race.
3-day weekend. Children under 10 are free. Children 11 to 15 are £99.50. Level 4 adult £199.
So even that 200 quid for an adult ticket, and that's not including any accommodation or anything, about 200 quid. So a third of the price of a season ticket for a whole season of a football season, to go and watch one race. It's too expensive, and I think this is why, for example, Sky are in a situation where they can go, you know what, we can charge quite a bit for Sky F1 because it's still cheaper than going to the race.
Yeah. But as well, I've been to 2 Grand Prix. I much prefer watching a Grand Prix on telly, just because you get to see more. Yeah, you're there, but you might only get to see like 3 or 4 corners. Best position you could ever be in is if there's a race at Donington Park, because you can see half at bloody circuit. Yeah. Silverstone, it's all flat, so you can't see fuck all. Melbourne, it's all flat, you can't see fuck all. But yeah, I just think it's a bit balmy that no matter what, there should always be better coverage for people sat there than there should be for people sat watching at home, which is should be the main reason for people to go and watch it. But
yeah,
like Vicky's even said, oh well, we could go on holiday and we can go to one of the races if you fancy. I'm like, I think the only race I'd actually enjoy sitting and watching probably be Monza down at a braking zone, but everybody's going to be down at braking zone, so there's no point. I bet overtaking braking zones, like Turn 1 Australia, the prices were astronomical.
Yeah,
because that's the only place anybody can overtake. The bit where Alonso went and flipped.
Yeah.
No, I think down at the exit of that corner, you could sit and watch the cars, but you couldn't see them coming down the straight. You could only see them entering the corner and going through that little chicane bit.
Yeah.
On the bit where Alonso crashed up against that wall, there's no seats, there's no, it's just stand at the side of the circuit. So that would probably be the best place to be, but I'm not kidding. I couldn't believe it when I paid for tickets. I said to Vicky, I said, "Oh, what we'll do is it'll be just like at Silverstone. On practice day and qualifying day, you'll be able to go wherever you want, and then on race day, you'll have to sit in your seats." On practice day, I were able to walk around wherever I want. Got to qualifying, went, no, you've got to go sit in your seats. I'm like, what? I can't go over to that grandstand even though it's empty. No, you've got to sit in your seats. And I'm like, what? Couldn't believe it. But it's like each circuit has their own rules, but couldn't believe that I spent that much money and I couldn't go in any grandstand even if it were empty.
Yeah.
Like, would you pay the prices, and then if you went to, like Steve just recently went to a BTCC race, your price would have been much different, and you'd have more action.
Oh, aye.
See more.
Exactly.
Oh.
I mean, I can understand why people would want to go in person to MotoGP, because at any corner, anywhere, there's going to be something going to happen.
Yeah.
With F1, there's, like you say, every single circuit now, there's probably only about 3 or 4 spots for push.
Okay, then.
Where you can actually get an overtake.
All right, then, Spain. It's the Spain Grand Prix this weekend, so where would you want to go and sit for the Spanish Grand Prix?
And my house.
If the tyres had a possibility of dying, which they're not, I would suggest probably the braking zone just as you enter sector 3. After you've gone past turn 10. It'll be turn 10, yeah. That'd be where I'd sit. Because turn 1 and 2 is going to be packed out.
And there's a good chance there's going to be zero action down there other than at the start of the race. Because, as we've said so many times before, when it comes to the Spanish Grand Prix and that particular layout of racetrack, the final corners fuck up chances of overtaking down into turn 1. I mean, I would definitely not want to sit at the final corners, because you're going to see nothing other than slow car, Toro Rosso breaking down, slow car, Alonso 2 wheels. I mean, it's
that car's just gone into pit lane. Oh,
yeah. I mean, there's going to be absolutely fuck all happening in that. I mean, I don't mind there being sectors of a track or sections of a track where it's not action, as long as it's difficult for the driver. But Spain is one of those exceptions where those final few corners are just an abomination. I mean, I'd rather see them go down the hill at Laguna Seca than go through those fucking chicanes.
But yet, the rest of the circuit, apart from them final little itty bitty chicanes, the rest of the circuit, if you've got tyres that degrade, it's a brilliant track.
Yeah.
But the tyres now are just so bulletproof, it's just boring.
Well, it was interesting that during the Baku race, I know that Paul Di Resta was on the Sky commentary with Crofty, and Crofty asked Di Resta, did Pirelli bring the wrong tyres to the race? And Di Resta said, when they had to choose the tyres to bring here, no, they picked the right ones. But having been here and seen how well the tyres are lasting, yes, they should have brought the softest possible tyres to that track. And I think they should make it. I think what did it is Ferrari a couple of seasons ago when they blew up 3 tyres in what was it, Austria, Spa, Silverstone. Vettel going long on his tyres, longer than Pirelli said is doable on the tyres. They puncture and then Ferrari go, oh, these tyres aren't fucking good enough, we need better. And then Pirelli go, oh, you know what, we better not take any risks with our tyres anymore. No, fuck that, make it difficult for them. If it means it's a 3-stop race, then so be it. You're gonna have.
There was also that year at Silverstone where there was a series of punches.
Yeah, 2013 it was.
And those tyres that particular season, Pirelli was given the objective of creating tyres that would, be a 2-stop, 3-stop race, so they would degrade pretty quickly. And it would create better driving. And Pirelli was always saying, yes, these tyres wear out quick, that's what we've been asked to make. Now, it's almost as if it's turned round and Pirelli are going, we're going to make tyres this way, and they're going to last forever, because otherwise it's going to look bad against us. And but the thing is, it's not helping the sport.
No. I mean, the sole reason why you should have a sole tyre manufacturer is to create some sort of... I understand, yeah, it's great now that we've got like different compounds and all that shit, but I couldn't give a shit what they are. You know what I mean? I'm just sat there going, I want to see good racing. I couldn't give a shit whether they're on super soft, ultra softs, kitten softs, fucking pussy softs. I'm just sat there going, just give me good racing. That's all I want. You don't have to go in. I mean, I'm a bit of an iCar fan, and even I couldn't care less for a lot of technical babble. And you just sort of sat there thinking, if you've got a sole tyre manufacturer, why is this not create? I mean, if Pirelli are embarrassed by creating tyres that degrade, why not just call it the Formula One tyre, and then in association with, you know what I mean, so that Pirelli can. But like I say, you could probably have, if they are intended on doing sprint race on a Saturday, and then
feature race,
the actual Grand Prix on the Sunday, have the sprint race with the shit hot tyres that are super grippy, super everything, last all day, no stops. But then on your Sunday, you've got a completely different set of tyres. You clearly mark them as these are the Grand Prix tyres that are created to degrade. I think Pirelli have got a hard time marketing the tyres because they don't know how to say we're creating tyres for Grand Prix, not to make it artificial, but just make it more interesting. I think they don't communicate that to anybody. And then when you've got tyres blowing up because people are going 10 laps too long on them, it always cuts to that bloke, Paul Embry, whatever his name is, going, oh, well, he should come straight out and go, yeah, what a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
We told him that it'd only last 20 laps. He went 30, so tough shit.
Yeah.
If he did that, it'd be like, yeah, but everybody pussyfoots about these days.
I mean, it's a little bit
says
like
what they think.
It's a little bit like when Pirelli said, look, these tyres, you shouldn't be running camber more than 3.3 degrees or whatever it is. If you run over that, we can't give you any safety parameters. So basically, right, if your tyres fail on you, we may burden some of the blame if it is a fault with the tyre. However, if your pressures are outside of these limits, our working range, and your camber is outside of these limits, our working range, then all blame lies with yourself. If we say that these tyres can do 20 laps and you do 21 and they blow up, that's on you, not us. It's a little bit like saying, I'm an airplane designer, I've designed this plane, it's great for flying up to 20,000 feet, but if you fly it at 25,000 feet, there's a good chance everybody inside is going to suffocate and die. You then take the plane to 20,000 feet and go, oh, everything's fine, right, let's go to 28,000 feet, suddenly every fucker's dead, oh, let's blame the airplane manufacturer. No, you've been fucking told.
Yeah,
but at the same time,
I think if Pirelli really did just market their tyres properly, they'd have no problem explaining to anybody, even the average Joe sitting down, even if a thicko sits down and goes, that tyre's blown up, it's shit. If somebody sat next to him who's like watches it and actually enjoys it, it'd probably turn to him and go, no, they're the Grand Prix tyres, and he's took them well beyond their working range. That's it. You could probably have, and I don't know how they'd do this, but I'm pretty sure we live in 2018. I'm pretty sure there's a way to do it. The tyre colour, it goes when it's getting down to almost the camber. Maybe it like goes to a red rubber colour that's pretty much the base rubber before the camber, so that the driver knows, fucking hell, these are gone. They might keep going, but you don't know how long. As soon as they start looking a certain type of colour, that's pretty much an indication. That's pretty pretty much an indication to say you need to get in the pit lane.
Yeah.
So if, for example, let's say Vettel took his tyres too long, but one of the tyres were bright red, then Pirelli would turn around and go, well, you had your indication from us.
Yeah. So what I know what you're saying, but I'm going to try and explain. A depth, like when the rubber wears off, like if you imagine a driver doing a big nasty lock-up and it takes off a few layers of rubber, somewhere within that depth would be a change of colour that would be the Pirelli indicator of, look, your tyres are fucked. I mean, I kind of like that idea to a degree. I mean...
But even the average person watching could watch and go, that tyre's a different colour to the rest. I wonder why.
Yeah.
Oh shit, it's blown up. You know what I mean? Just so even thickos could get it.
Yeah.
Do you know why tyres are black?
I don't want to go there. Go on.
No, I just wanted to know if anyone knew why tyres were black.
No idea.
Probably because they couldn't be arsed making it any other colour.
No, it's because tarmac's black. It's the only reason.
Fair enough. didn't know that. And I've got to say, it was something that I'd never even actually thought of.
But it makes you wonder though that when you've got some race series that race on concrete or dirt, they still go with black tyres though.
I always just thought it was the materials that the tyres are made with. Means
No, they can make them any colour you want.
Nope, the tyres, the black colour of the tyres come from carbon black. That's a material they put in it. Because rubber is off-white in colour.
So Ray knows about his rubbers.
He's just Googled it, that's why. I tell you what, you wouldn't be allowed to be a phone a friend, you know, if you end up Googling stuff.
You know what? I found out in the early hours of this morning that apparently Jeremy Clarkson is the new host of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Yep. I watched that last night.
It's good. It's pretty good. Yeah, and one of the things now is you can ask the host.
Yeah.
If he knows the answer.
Yeah, well, that's one of the things that I watched. It was something to do with which cricket team plays cricket at Lords, and the guy goes, "Oh, I don't know.
Oval.
I think I should ask." The Oval. So I think I'm going to have to use the ask the host, and Clarkson sort of looks at him and goes, "Are you sure you want to do that?" But I actually thought, I watched a couple of clips and I thought, you know what, he's actually doing it very, very well. I might be tempted to watch that. Okay, we talked a little bit about, obviously, James saying about communication there from Pirelli and stuff like that. There is something that I do want to mention about that we talked about on the last podcast, and that was to do with Lewis Hamilton wanting clarification from the FIA or Charlie Whiting about what Sebastian Vettel was doing on the safety car restart. I've seen the outcome of it. Have any of you seen the outcome of Hamilton's discussion with Charlie Whiting?
No.
No.
I have, but I'll allow you to explain it.
Okay. Well, he decided not to wait until the Spanish Grand Prix. He has been to see Charlie Whiting, and basically Charlie has had a look at it and decided no further action will be taken. As far as he's concerned, Vettel basically did nothing wrong. He basically said, I think that Vettel controlled it very well, but it's up to the leading driver to say when we go. Unlike some other series, they have an acceleration zone, a place where you can accelerate. You can't do it before or after that. Once it goes green, the safety car comes into the pits. It's up to the leader to decide when he is going to go. So basically, Charlie Whiting has said he's done nothing wrong.
But to me, though, it looked like he faked to go, and that's what's not allowed.
Yeah. I think the
Did
one thing
was
for
the wheel
me...
spinning?
I got one at a time. James, go on.
I've already come up with a solution. It's amazing, right? Soon as the safety car light goes out, all drivers must press the pit lane limiter. So they're limited to that speed. They can then warm up the tyres, going left and right, and then as soon as the leading driver presses off the pit lane limiter, that's it. And he must go at that point. So you can't ever get a situation where somebody bombs up to 80 mile an hour and then slams on brake and then bombs up to 80.
it'd be difficult to introduce, but what they could do is say, right, you've got to have your pit lane limiter on, and once you reach the safety car line, you can deactivate it.
Yeah.
But then what happens if the pit lane limit changes for different tracks, does it not?
It does. That's the speed you get to go to.
Different speeds, different times, how to get your tyres warmed up and that.
Well,
there's another problem as well.
It's not that much of a difference. I mean, okay, the speed lane, pit lane speed difference at Monaco, I think, is what, 30 kilometers an hour. So it may sound a lot,
37.
but in actual fact, it's not a big difference. I mean, they're more than capable of doing a few little wheel spins and getting the tyres up to temperature. And to be honest, they can get just as much temperature into the core of the tyres by using the brakes rather than speed.
Right, if you were to wait until the safety car line to take your pit speed limiter off, would that be once the lead car gets to there, everyone can turn it off?
No.
Because otherwise, let's say for instance Baku, the guy that in the lead takes his pit lane speed limiter off first. He gets the advantage. He's going to be down and around turn 1, and whoever's in 10th, 11th and 12th haven't even got to the speed limit line yet to take the speed limiter off.
Tough shit. If you let the last one go when the first one does, then they're getting to a much higher top speed than every single car in front of them.
That's what happens at the moment.
Well,
it's like at the moment, right, at the start of a race, when the lights go green, you don't wait for the car in front of you to go. Everyone goes when the lights go green. Whereas at traffic lights, on a normal street, the lights go green, and you've got the first car goes, second car goes, third car goes, and you've got to wait for your turn until the car in front moves for you to move. Whereas in racing, it's different. The lights go green, everyone goes. So when the safety car comes in, everyone goes at the same time when the leader goes. It's not like the leader goes, then the second place goes, and the third place goes. Everyone goes at the same time.
I've just thought of an idea.
Go on.
When the lead driver, who's got the pit lane speed limiter on, when he deactivates his pit speed limiter on all the dashboards, it lights up green for all the rest of the drivers. So the only driver who has an advantage is the lead driver, because he's the one that's going to press the button. As soon as he's pressed it, everybody else can go.
There is actually an even simpler way around it, you know. And that is the FIA go, don't do what you fucking did at that fucking race, you knobhead. You're not meant to speed up and slow down and speed up and now, okay, there are going to be people do speed up and slow down on formation laps or getting ready for a safety car restart. That's acceptable. But like we've been saying, if it's the go, no stop, go, no stop, that's a big difference, because you're basically telling everyone behind you, let's go. And then it's a ripple effect down the order of, oh shit, no, not yet. And it is going to cause... I mean, this is one thing that's pissing me off a little bit. One of the many things about F1 at the moment is nothing happens until something happens. So instead of taking preventative measures, they wait until shit hits the fan and then go, oh, well, maybe we should have done that, so we'll do this from now on. And in all honesty, right, you look at the history of Formula 1, and you look at safety and people dying in Formula 1. They waited till people died before they took action, instead of taking action and stopping people from dying. You look at the Jules Bianchi situation, there were people that were saying it for years, this is not a situation you should have, someone could get hurt, and everyone's going, no, it'd be fine, and then somebody gets hurt. And then they go, oh, maybe we should do something. And it's the wrong way to go about it. It's a little bit like, well, it's like we're talking about with the racetrack. You build a racetrack in America, Circuit of the Americas, and then 6-7 years later you go, oh, well, you know what, maybe we should have done this, because now it's fucking sunk. It's like, you can't re-race the Titanic and send it off again. It's already at the bottom of the ocean. It's screwed. Take the action before you have to react.
What about NASCAR restarts?
Well, NASCAR restarts seem to work quite well, although from what I've seen in NASCAR, they do have a saying in NASCAR, which is yellow flags breed more yellow flags. So when they have to like have full course cautions and have to do another restart, quite often it tends to cause another one shortly after, and then another one. It has a knock-on effect to the multiple restarts.
No, like when they come up and they have to wait for the lights to go green before they all floor it. So it's not the lead driver. All of them have got to stay in formation, and then it's a guy that's on the bridge or whatever it is called. He hits the green lights, waves a flag, and they start racing again.
Yeah.
I know in World Endurance cars, to start their race, obviously they do like a parade lap. It's a rolling start, but no one gets to say, none of the drivers get to say, right, I'm going. As they're heading towards the start-finish line, they're not allowed to gun it until the lights go green. So you could quite easily do the same with Formula One. Safety car comes in, they head towards the start-finish line, but you're not allowed to gun it until those start-finish lights go green.
Well, that's where the complication came in a few years ago, isn't it, when they moved the safety car line, because it did used to be the start finish, but then they moved the safety car line in case there was a safety car period towards the end of a race. They didn't want the race to be ending under a safety car, so they at least wanted that opportunity for an attempt to overtake if they're on the final lap, or like the safety car comes in just before the end of the final lap. Like what
it's only ever happened once, though.
Yeah, at Monaco when Schumacher jumped Alonso, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then he was lambasted for doing making the overtake. It's like, well, hang on a minute. That's the whole reason why the rule was brought in.
Yeah.
It's not like, okay, we're just gonna, I think what it was, some drivers were thinking the safety car was coming in just so they could cross the line without the safety car. And it was like, well, kind of, but if it's green flag situation,
you go.
Then overtaking's allowed.
Yep, that it is. Did any of you see the rather big crash at Spa this weekend in the World Endurance Championship?
Which one?
I
only know about the one at Eau Rouge with Fittipaldi.
Yeah, there was an identical one, but with no injuries. In the race.
James, Ray, did you see it?
No, I didn't know.
No, I don't.
Go on then, Steve, you could tell him about it.
Okay, LMP1 car, same as what Alonso was driving, basically. And it was qualifying session. And he was gone across the line to start his qualifying lap, went to go up Eau Rouge, and pretty much just understeered straight into the wall on the left-hand side, halfway up Eau Rouge, and straight into the tyre barrier, and broke both his legs. And that's in an LMP1 car, which I'm amazed that it was the impact was severe enough for it to cause enough damage to cause those kind of injuries. I thought that if you're in that kind of car, you'd be all right, but obviously not.
Ouch.
Yeah.
I don't know what their safety rules are and what they've got for the cockpit area of the cars. Sorry.
I know that obviously Formula One, you've got your safety cell, and I would have thought that they would have had some sort of roll cage implemented into the crash structure of the car or something, but it's all been speculation. I was talking to Dave about it the other day, and it's like, I wonder if something has gone into the car rather than his legs protruding the car to get broken, or was it his legs hitting the inside of the car that's broken his legs? Because obviously there might have been movement within the car rather than something making entry into it.
I mean, I'm not sure exactly what sort of speed he was doing, but I know in an F1 car you're usually hitting about 190 plus mile an hour as you're heading into Eau Rouge. In an LMP1 car you're probably hitting similar speed, if not perhaps slightly higher.
The lap times are now comparable with F1, aren't they?
Yeah.
At Spa, so there's got to be a similar sort of speed, really.
That is true. I mean, I'm not surprised there's been a big crash there, and I'm not saying I would like to see what would happen if an F1 car went into that barrier, but I don't think it would be pretty if an F1 car did go into that barrier, because it is such high speed. And I know they got rid of the gravel on the left hand side of Eau Rouge a few years ago, but I was thinking about it that even if there was gravel there, it wouldn't have slowed him down at all. He'd have literally just skimmed over the top of it and straight into the barrier just as quick. It'd have made no difference. But I just hope that people don't look at it and go, oh well, they need to slow Eau Rouge down or anything like that, because they really don't. Eau Rouge is one of the few corners left in Formula 1 that is a challenge. It is a risk. Okay, cars are going up there flat out, but it's that thing of you've got to get it right, because if you don't, you're meeting barrier fairly fucking fast. But anyway, right, okay, we've not talked much about the upcoming race this weekend in Spain. I think I found it a little bit increasingly more difficult to have an idea of what's going to happen in a race or anything like that, other than I reckon there's going to be a safety car in this race again. It's going to be another safety car affected race, and this is one of the things that I was kind of hinting on about the history of Formula 1. Right, this season, right, 3 out of the 4 races so far have been safety car affected. I think this is slowly building up into something big. Right. And I don't mean something good big. I think it's a little bit, to me it's kind of got that sense of Imola, where you're having your warning signs and nobody's heeding them, and if you don't heed them, something bad's going to happen. And I've got a feeling that that's kind of what is building in F1 at the moment.
Possibly. I'm just wondering, whether to do with the way the F1 cars are at the moment, they've been designed to go around the racetracks as fast as possible. Obviously, for next season, they're taking into consideration that we want to see more overtaking, so they're going to make them easier to follow, which means less downforce on the front end and what have you. I'm just wondering whether it's because they're so much faster through the corners that it's almost the drivers probably feel there's no limit to it. And that could be something that could contribute towards an accident one day.
Yeah, a bit like with Grosjean.
True.
No, Grosjean.
No, he just couldn't drive.
He felt there was no limit to his tyre warm-up technique, and it bit him on the hands.
Literally, it bit him on the front. Bit him on the front of his ass. I don't necessarily want to think that way, that something bad is going to happen, but I just think sometimes things happen for a reason, and these may be warning signs coming. I mean, Spain is one of those tracks as well where I wouldn't be surprised if we see a safety car in the opening lap because someone's going to do something stupid at the start of the race down into turn 1. Max Verstappen. So
how many points has it got? He's crashed
Or
in
it could
every
be
race.
Vettel.
It could be Vettel.
He's crashed in every race, this Verstappen. How many points has he got?
Oh, we'll have a look for you.
No, I don't think he's finished the last 4 races.
He's either crashed or spun in every race so far.
Okay, let's see. Max Verstappen has 18 points. His teammate Ricciardo has 37 points. To put it into perspective, Hülkenberg is ahead of Verstappen. Alonso is 10 points ahead of Verstappen. I mean, you know what? I'd kind of like to see Alonso in a Red Bull, to see what he could do in there. So yeah, I mean, Verstappen definitely not having the best of seasons. Maybe one of our predictions will have to be what lap does Verstappen crash out on. But yeah, I'm just curious though. Okay, looking forward to the race weekend coming up. James, is there anything that you are looking forward to about the Spain Grand Prix?
We can't follow each other, and the only overtaking point is turn 1. So last year we were treated to quite a good race between Vettel and Hamilton, but
I've got a funny feeling that it's just going to be a bore fest. There might be. I think the main action is going to be like the Renaults, the Red Bulls. Actually, yeah, I'd probably say that. I think we saw a little bit of glimpse of what's to come. I think Red Bull are going to end up shitting themselves because Renault are just going to get stronger as a works team.
Force India in that as well?
No. I think they got lucky with Perez. I don't, because didn't he just not pit until the safety car?
Pretty much after pitting on lap 1, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So I think he just got very, very lucky.
Okay, so
it could be a race that I'd say the McLarens could be back in there with it, with a shout, because it's not power dependent circuit so much as it is aero.
Well, apparently McLaren, I forgot to mention this, McLaren are bringing the B-spec car. So apparently the news is that the McLaren that they've been using is just a modification of last year's car. And this car that they're bringing to Barcelona is going to be literally the 2018 car. Which I thought were a bit odd, really, because they were not really mentioned about it until this week.
Well, teams do that quite often. I mean, Red Bull have done it in the past. Force India have done it in the past. The car that raced for Force India at Baku was basically the car that they'd been waiting to implement. Similar for Sauber as well, I think, where it's kind of like an upgraded version, basically. So what they would class as their B-spec, but the car that they really wanted to use but weren't able to yet.
Right.
So it'd be interesting to see what they could do. I mean, I'm trying to think back to pre-season testing where, I mean, you can't really take pre-season testing at Spain as an indicator of what's going to happen in Spain, because the pre-season testing, they're not really looking at how well they can go around the Spain track. They're looking at how well their car behaves in certain corners. It's all about the mechanics, the technicalities, the tyre degradation, the aero performance, not about optimizing lap time, qualifying pace, fuel usage, blah blah blah. So it's a completely different aspect. So Toro Rosso may have been the fastest in a straight line in the Spain pre-season testing, but it might mean jack shit when it comes to this weekend's race. I mean, the cars have evolved, the aero packages have evolved. Once again, the argument of, okay, which engine are people going to be using? Is it going to be a fresh one, a used one? It comes into effect, and I still don't like that aspect of it. It's a little bit like, I'm going to go and watch Man United play this weekend, but apparently Ryan Giggs is on 50% energy, whereas Wayne Rooney's on 100. Who's going to play better? It doesn't make any fucking sense. It's fucking stupid.
But as a supporter, you would still see Ryan Giggs and Wayne Rooney on the pitch, but you wouldn't have a clue what their energy levels are. Yeah. But not only that, can you just imagine going to pay a full ticket price to watch Man United, and then half the team is basically the reserves because the first, they can't play the first team. So basically, they've got their second engines in, or the used engines in. So they've not been able to put the best engine in there.
Yeah.
But you've still got to pay the full price for the ticket.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little bit like James. I'm looking at Spain and thinking, I can imagine it being a real bore. I can't imagine there being much action, much entertainment. But I kind of felt that way about Baku. And even though Baku wasn't a great race, it was entertaining to watch. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, but I won't be surprised if it is a bore fest. So Ray, what are you looking forward to for this weekend's race?
Some beer. I just hope there's a wee bit of action somewhere, because they do get boring after a while if there's no action in there and you just kind of switch off. But hopefully there's some action as a safety car for not any serious situation, but that's what I look forward to.
Okay, Steve?
Well, in the past I've been kind of not like the fact when a safety car comes out, because I think it's ruined some races. or it's altered the races. But I think Spain might need one to just try and make it interesting, a bit like races. Just to try and, because what I can see happening is the fastest cars are going to qualify up the front, the slowest cars are going to be at the back, the lights go out and they all get spread out, and we're just going to start waiting for something to happen. And a safety car might just end up changing something. And I don't think that's what Formula One should be about, but I can see that's what it's going to end up being about. And I may just have to start enjoying that fact rather than having it annoy me.
Yeah. Okay. Is Spain going to be the race where Kimi Raikkonen builds on the positivity from Baku, the good recovery? Is he going to go and finally stick it on pole and show Vettel that it ain't all going to go his way in Ferrari?
No, Max Verstappen's going to steal it.
Well, I'm going to look at this from a different perspective, and I'm going to look at it from Kimi's perspective, and that is, in his mind, I think he sees this as potentially his last season, and he's already showing this season he's got more about him than he has done in the last handful of seasons. And I reckon he's taking this season to Vettel, and he could quite easily be on more points than Vettel already. And I reckon by the end of the season he will have more points than Vettel. So I don't know who's going to win, but I reckon Raikkonen will be ahead of Vettel.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because I mean, I kind of like that Mercedes are not having the season their own way at the moment. I still think a big part of that is because they have gone the same direction of going for the rake angle that Ferrari have gone, that Red Bull have gone, and they're finding problems with it, which Ferrari have had in the past. Red Bull had early on, but got on top of it very quickly. It's all new problems for Mercedes, and it is a problem for them. But I think it's good that Mercedes aren't just running away with it. I think if this season had been Hamilton, Bottas 1-2 on pole in qualifying and in the race for the first 3 or 4 races, it'd be desperately boring. But at the same time, I really don't want Vettel to go and win the championship.
Yeah, who do you want to win the championship?
I don't know, just not Vettel. So come on, guys, Spain. Talk to me about Spain. I'm trying to get you talking about Spain, and you're all like, ugh.
Weather's nice in Spain.
Cost a fortune to get there.
Yeah,
and then pay your ticket. I'll go to Knockhill. Nah, I'm only kidding. In the past, 1, 2, 3, 4 years, it's been 3 Mercedes wins and a Red Bull win, so can Ferrari come back? The last win was in 2013 with Alonso.
Could Alonso come back and win?
Do you reckon they can come back and win? Kimi, Alonso?
Well, it's Alonso's home Grand Prix, isn't it? So could that be something that inspires him on that little bit more?
And he's McLaren? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nah, it ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna happen.
It depends on how many drivers Max Verstappen takes out at the start.
That is true. That is true. I mean, is it just that Spain is such a boring fucking racetrack now that it just doesn't excite a supporter to get excited about the race there?
Yeah, I think the last couple of corners did it for me there. But also, in fact, forget about that. It's the whole last sector now, because turn 10 used to be a nice sweeping left-hander into a turn 11 and then over the start-finish line. And it's just... all those corners are just... makes it so much more difficult for the cars to get close together, which means overtaking down into turn 1 is just almost impossible.
Do you think the track is suited more to the older cars than these newer cars, because the rules and everything it's put in? So if you were to put an older car in, you'd get more overtaking and that, more close grids?
Well, James is racing old F1 cars on project cars at the moment. So James,
and I've seen it.
Yeah. So James, could you answer that question?
He fell asleep.
I'm just making a cup of tea.
Yeah, well, I'm just letting Bella go for a wee. Hang on. Bella, go on. No, don't look at me. Go for a wee. Go on. Yeah, it was quite difficult to even overtake one car. Just because I don't know if it was just us, but because we were so close on pace, the closing gaps was probably a tenth of a second, which is probably what you'd see in modern Formula One. But I think the best circuits are the ones where you could take 3 or 4 different lines through a particular corner, and each driver could, make or break certain bits of time up through their driving style. I think, unfortunately, especially because of turn 3 and 4, it's just so long, such a long right-hander, just kills the tyres, so that by the time you get to sector 2, your front tyres are just crying, and there's not enough grip to actually go, I'll go for a move.
And there's James reported from the jungle where we can hear the birds tweeting in the trees.
Oh yeah, birds are tweeting, cars are blasting past, and Bella's just looking at me. Bella, are you going to go for a wee or what? Go on, go for a wee.
You're going to have to go for a piss in the garden yourself so that
Bella,
she knows what you mean.
Bella, stop eating grass.
So, James, do you think it would be good for Max Verstappen? Because he's quite one of these ones that does all the different lines and does all the different racing.
In the past, I would have said so, but I think it's just showing this year that how young he actually is, and all the media hype is just sort of falling flat on his face at this moment in time. Mind you, his sister, she looks like she's fallen flat on her face. It's how big it is.
Well, I'm wondering, with Max Verstappen, whether when he was racing in the junior formulas, he used to just scare the other drivers shitless into jumping out of the way. And he can't do that now. The other drivers are going, no, if you want to try and overtake me, you've got to go the long way round.
Yeah.
And he just expects cars to just be out of the way.
Yeah, he just calls people's bluff. But unfortunately, the reason why these other drivers are in, half of the drivers are in Formula One, is because they've done that, they've experienced that a million times, and it's not something that they're... I mean, Lewis Hamilton at turn 1 at Bahrain, he was like, you can try push me out, but you will have a crash.
Yeah.
Whereas, if he'd have done that in junior categories, they'd have gone, oh shit, I don't want to lose my front wing, I better run off the racetrack. And then he's off into the distance and he's getting all the glory. So it is a bit funny, though, just watching stuff fall apart and him crack. I think it is quite... It's not that you want to see somebody do badly, but it's just so funny that, his dad's there watching him all the time, and, his family are all so shocked, and it's always cutting to them. It's let's see shit fan for a bit.
Does he need a race this weekend where he just stays out of trouble and gets to the end of the race?
He needs a race like what he did in his first race at Red Bull at Spain, where he just came and absolutely blitzed everybody and showed everybody what he's got. But unfortunately, he's just... I think... Well, I'm going to get straight into Star Wars here. I think he's just been trying way too hard, rather than just going, I can do this, get on with it.
What's that got to do with Star Wars?
He can feel the Force.
No, Yoda says you either try it or you don't try. You either do or you don't. And I just think he's had this idea of so much pressure put on himself this year to outdo Danny Ricciardo and destroy him. But the one thing he put into perspective is Danny Ricciardo came into Red Bull when Sebastian Vettel were the 4-time world champion, and he made him look like a fucking idiot. So he might come across as this smiley, great to get to know you chap, but underneath he probably is one of the most, even though Daniel Ricciardo, in terms of the media, I think he's probably one of the most underrated drivers on the grid.
Yeah, he's ruthless to the core as well, but he's got such a personality that makes everyone think he's a lovable creature. That's why he has the nickname of the honey badger, because people look at a honey badger and isn't that a cute little animal? No, it'll rip your fucking face off. And that's kind of Daniel Ricciardo. But I kind of like that. Okay, we're going to get on to doing some predictions. Now, I've got our usual 4: pole, winner, podium, first to crash out. We're also going to go for fastest force for this weekend, so who will be the highest placed Force India driver. We're going to need one other thing to make a prediction on. So, you got any ideas?
I think Renault to beat Red Bull.
So, will Renault beat the Bull?
I think that's going to be the story of the season. At the end of the season, apart from the title battle, it'll be that Renault, as a works team, have beat Red Bull. I think that's a bit of a tall ask, but I think it might happen.
Okay. Right, well, we'll get straight into it then. James, who do you think is going to take pole position at Spain this weekend?
I'm not going to wait. I've got somebody else.
Steve, who do you think is going to get pole position at Spain this weekend?
Can I ask the host?
No, you can't, because he doesn't know.
Can I phone a friend?
Have you got any?
Ray, who do you think is going to win? Oh, take pole position. I'm going to stick to my guns. I've said Hamilton all along so far this season. I'll say Hamilton again.
You do realise he's not going to get pole position until you pick somebody else.
I know, but it's making the season interesting, isn't it?
Right, true. Okay, come on then, James. Pole position.
Lewis Hamilton.
Ooh. Ray, who do you think is going to get pole position? Vettel. Okay. And I am going to go with Kimi. I think Raikkonen's going to do it. I've said Kimi twice. He's been on for pole position twice, and he's fucked it at the final corner twice. So let's see how he gets on this weekend. Okay, James, who do you think is?
Must be a parent thing.
It could be. Okay, James, who do you think is going to take the victory?
It's going to be. Let me just look in my mystic ball. Bella, who do you think's going to win?
Bella don't race.
Hang on, she's telling me.
I need a piss.
No, she's been. I think the race winner, it's going to be somebody completely not who we'd expect. I think it's going to be a good day for a midfield team.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's going to be a big crash like at I think it's 2009
Spa.
I think it's going to be I would say Carlos Sainz.
Ooh.
Race winner.
That's one out of the ballpark. Okay, Steve, who do you think is going to take the victory?
Lewis Hamilton.
Okay, now was Ray gone for a piss?
No, I said Villa was gone for a
right.
piss.
Oh, right. Okay, Ray, who do you think is going to take the victory?
Oh, I'm stuck between two, I think. Verstappen and Bottas, but if I was to pick one, I'd say Bottas.
Okay, it's an interesting one, that, because Bottas has been doing well the last couple. Since he got a bollocking about not going for the overtake, he's been doing well. Okay, winner. I don't want to say it, but I think it's going to be Vettel. I think he's going to Ferrari once again, or try and screw Kimi into letting Vettel win the race. Okay, James, your podium 3.
So I've said Sainz for the win.
Yep.
I'll say Kimi Räikkönen second and Nico Hulkenberg third.
So
He's going to get his first podium.
So he's going for a double Renault podium. Steve?
Okay, I'm going to contradict myself with the podium and say Hamilton's not going to be on it, even though I've already put him down for the win. So I'm going to say Ricciardo for the win, with Raikkonen second and Alonso third.
Ooh, okay, Ray. Who do you think are going to be on the podium?
Bottas, the win, then Max, and then Vettel.
Okay. I am going to go with... I'm going to contradict myself as well. I'm going to go with Raikkonen for the win, right? With Alonso second and Hulkenberg third.
Ooh.
I don't think that's gonna. I don't think that's gonna happen. But I'm just. I'm just gonna gamble it. I've gone logical the last few races and got fuck all from it. So yeah, okay. First to crash out then. Are we all going to end up with Verstappen on this one?
I'll say. Well, I've said.
Well, you said there's going to be a big crash at the start.
Yeah. I think it's going to take a lot of drivers out, which is why I'm umming and ahhing over which one to choose. I think one of the drivers out at turn 1 will be.
This is like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire's long tension pause. Sorry, James, was that Vettel?
Vettel out one.
Okay, I think we're struggling to hear you a little bit. It's okay, so Vettel,
Oh,
James...
sorry, yeah, Vettel, yeah.
Okay, Steve, who do you think is going to be first to crash out?
Van Dorn.
Oh. Okay, Ray, who do you think will be the first to crash out?
Take mute off, Ray.
Grosjean.
Oh, he might crash on the way to the fucking grid.
Yeah, warming up.
Okay, who do I think is going to be first to crash out? I've got to do it. I think it's going to be Verstappen.
I think he's going to try being too cautious and he'll end up having an incident because of it.
Maybe. Okay, fastest Force India. So, who is going to be the highest position Force India, and what position? James, Ocon or Perez?
Perez has done well, but I think he sort of looked into it. And Ocon surprised me how shit he was at turn 3 at Baku. But I'm going to go with my gut, and I'm going to say Ocon, highest Force India. And I'm going to say 7th.
Okay, 7th then for Ocon from James. Steve?
I'm going to go Ocon, and I'm going to say he's going to have his best race so far, never 4th.
Ooh. Ray?
I'm going to say Perez, and I'll say 7th.
You know what, I really don't know. I don't like the idea of thinking that Perez is going to do well.
I'll say he'll be last then.
I don't. I'm going to go with. No, I'm going to go with Perez. I think something will happen between Ocon and Perez, which will result in Ocon out of the race or losing positions. And I think Perez will finish P9. I think the Renaults are going to do well. The Red Bulls will do alright. McLaren are going to be 5th, 6th. So yeah, I'm going to go with Perez P9. Okay then, James has come up with this one. Renault's beating the Red Bulls. So, is it going to be one Renault beating the Red Bull, James, or is it going to be both Renaults beating the Red Bulls?
Both beating Red Bulls. I think Red Bull are going to perform well in practice and quality, and then in the race they're both going to have another double DNF, and Christian Horner's going to be going apeshit, but it won't be from taking each other out. I think it'll be from other drivers taking advantage, knowing that both drivers have been given a bollocking by the team boss. And at the start of the race, I have an idea that they're both going to be quite cautious. Maybe Max more than Danny. And then when they start getting mugged off by Renault, they start losing the temper, and then they end up both in a bit of a situation. Danny Ricciardo probably doing a Dan Dare move on the brakes down at turn 1. Somebody like Van Dorn doesn't see, somebody like that doesn't see him at mirror order, just turns in anyway, and there's a crash there. And Max Verstappen, I'll say he'll try some crazy move around outside of somebody and end up touching grass or gravel and going off and hitting a barrier.
Have you wrote all that down, Dave?
No.
So basically, both of them crash out, but not from taking each other out, just from other incidents.
And both Renaults beat them. Okay, Steve, do you think one Renault's going to beat a Red Bull, two Renault's going to beat a Red Bull, or none?
I reckon the Red Bulls will finish ahead of both Renaults.
So no Renault's beating the Red Bulls. Ray, what about yourself?
No Renault's beating the Red Bulls.
And I'm going to go down the middle. I think one Renault... Hang on. Just check what my podium was. Yeah, okay. I think one Renault will beat one Red Bull, but not both.
So what's your podium, Dave?
Raikkonen, Alonso, Hulkenberg. So Hulkenberg will be the one Renault that beats them.
So that's one Renault beating both then?
Yeah, but not both Renault drivers beating both Red Bull drivers.
Yeah, so you can't say that if one Renault beats one Red Bull that's right then.
Yeah, I can. I'm saying that one Renault driver will beat both Red Bulls.
Right. Okay, so but the other Renault driver will be behind both Red Bulls.
Yeah.
Okay, so what you're saying is it'll be a Renault, then two Red Bulls, and then a Renault.
Yeah.
Maybe some other cars in between, but
yeah.
Yeah,
that's basically the situation. It'll be a Renault Red Bull sandwich, kind of, with maybe a few extra toppings in there as well.
Yeah.
But we'll see how shit we do with all of those predictions.
We do so well, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
We're like fortune tellers. Tell us what the lottery numbers are, and you'll be a multi-millionaire.
Yeah, never. Okay, well that's our predictions locked down. Anybody got anything else they want to discuss about Spain this weekend? Actually, there was something that Steve wanted. I'm trying to think if we talked about it on the last podcast or if it was... No, it was afterwards, right? Steve probably doesn't know what I'm on about now, but as soon as I mention
I forgot.
Where's Axel?
Yeah.
James is now thinking, yeah, who the fuck is Axel?
I'm trying to remember.
Axel Rose?
No, not Axel Rose.
I'm thinking of Axel Foley from.
Yeah, we're old enough to know that. No, before the Chinese, it was actually a week or two before the Chinese Grand Prix. We talked about it on the podcast, James. Something Liberty Media were bringing to Formula One for the Chinese Grand Prix.
Oh yeah, the mascot.
The mascot, yeah. Well, me and Steve would.
Can't wait.
Well, the thing is, the Chinese Grand Prix's already happened. So he goes, has it? Oh yeah, shit. Well, me and Steve were talking about this the other day, and we're like, hang on, yeah, we've not seen anything about this new F1 mascot called Axel. So we tried Googling it, and we couldn't find anything. Like, there's no pictures, there's no announcements, there's no, oh, we was going to, but we've delayed, nothing. Now, I've not worked out whether it was an April Fool's prank or not, but there's nothing about it. There's no official story about the F1 mascot.
I reckon they just ditched the idea because they realised how shit it was.
I wouldn't be surprised. So yeah, anybody got anything else they want to talk about regarding the Spanish Grand Prix?
Nope.
Nope. No, I'm not.
I do have a question for Ray though.
What?
When was the last time you literally shit yourself?
What?
It is a going theme on this show, isn't it?
When was the last time you actually pooped in your pants?
When I was potty training.
Bullshit. Bullshit.
If that is true, Ray, next week you'll end up shitting yourself. That's the curse of this podcast.
It is. Yeah. James is the first sufferer of the I'll Tell You What TV podcast shit yourself curse. So yeah, by this time next week, Ray, I'm sure, will have been able to tell Steve. This is where Kirsty will be listening in now and going, well, he shit himself 2 weeks ago. He was fast asleep and he didn't know.
I think we need to rename this podcast to, instead of I Tell You What, is I Shit You Not.
Oh, I just snorted. I was having a look around on Facebook the other day, and I found an interesting news story, and I thought this is right up Steve and James's street. This is probably Ray's as well, to be honest. I know what kind of a person Ray is. So I'm not going to send you any pictures because there's nothing really to show, but it was a story that I found on the Derby Telegraph Facebook page, and it read like this, the headline: bondage gear dumped in field used by dog walkers. And I thought, yeah, right, whatever. Get this for a story. A Liberal Democrat councillor was stunned to find a collection of bondage gear as she walked her dog next to a railway line. Handcuffs, studded leather straps, paddles and a set of hockey pads were discovered by Dr. Sarah Hill on Sunday. The items were found in a private field near Leicestershire, and Dr. Hill told the Leicester Mercury, I was just out walking and I saw the stuff not far from the footpath. At first I wasn't sure what it was. It was such a strange collection of things, but then I realised what it all was. Yeah, you did, you dirty bitch.
Took them home.
I reckon it was hers and she's dumped them and then leaked it as a story. Oh, someone's done some fly tipping. She went on to say, it's not that unusual to see fly-tipped building material or garden waste around there, but I've never seen any S&M equipment before. So that was one of the stories of the week I found this week.
It probably, you know what, you say as a bit of a joke, it will probably her. I bet it probably was, right? Imagine she's going to dump it, right? She's like ashamed of herself from the night before. She goes to dump it, and as she's dumping it, some bloke walks past walking his dog. And she's basically caught red-handed, and she doesn't know what to do, so she just goes, have you seen this? And he goes, what? I goes, some dirty fly tippers just dropped all this. Oh,
yep.
You know what I mean? Definitely.
And I had a great night that night.
But her arsehole feels like my throat right now, though. Which is why she was so ashamed.
Well, it is interesting though, James. I mean, you said you literally every week you have one illness or another. But
it's a fucking joke.
It is. Now I've got another breaking story that I think it might cheer you up a little bit, James. Right? And that is the mystery of. Well, it's kind of like a secret mystery, right? We all know, like, if you're into Star Wars, and yes, I'm bringing up Star Wars now. If you're into Star Wars, you know that Darth Vader was Anakin Skywalker and he had a missus like Palpatine, but there is also a secret wife that he had later on, and I found out who it is, and I'm going to show you now in our chat. I'm not going to show it on the.
It's not a chick. It's not a chick with ginger hair, is it?
No, but I think you'll be
No, but I tell
fascinated.
you what, I've been inside her so many times.
So have I, actually. I didn't realise it, but I have so many times.
Is it, what is it? A flashlight? What is it? Hang on.
It's got a massive pair of back doors.
I tell you what, she ain't half great at riding up and down as well. She's fucking amazing.
That's all she does all day. She goes up and down more than a fucking yo-yo.
Nice.
What the hell?
Okay, Steve, you're gonna have to send that on to Ray. Before anyone says it, I will see if I could show it on the podcast as well. But it was on my phone, so I had to send it.
Just so you know, I will be listening, but I might have to stop myself from talking because my throat is like, it feels like somebody's thrown battery acid down it. I'm just like in so much agony. So I will be listening. I just might not be able to talk as much.
Grab yourself a drink, because I have got something I need you to read out in a bit.
No,
I don't think his voice is going to take it.
It's not. You don't need to do it with any accents or anything like that. I can't read it. I'll get in trouble.
Steve, if you imagine somebody getting some nettles and throwing it down your throat, that's what it feels like. I'm just like, oh. So I might be able to, but I just highly doubt it.
I'll just get Ray to do it then. I'll just get Ray to do it all.
Yeah.
Excuse
I'll
me?
listen in.
Okay, so
But I just pick on a guest. That's all right.
oh yeah, so I'm going to show.
That's the plan.
I'm going to show the listeners then if the discovery of Darth Vader's rarely photographed wife, and there you go. Shocking, I know, but everything that Steve said about her is true.
You know what? Actually, I was gonna mention about a Star Wars game I played this week.
Swallow the lightsaber.
I tell you what. Next week, remind me to talk about a Star Wars game, and hopefully by then my throat will be alright.
Okay. Well, interestingly,
I just want to just we're on the topic of Star Wars. I sent a link to you, Dave, and James about something that Mark Hamill has leaked to do with the new Solo film. Did you read it?
no, I've not had a chance to yet.
Okay, well, what is leaked is that he says that Anthony Daniels is the only person that's been in every Star Wars film so far. So he's leaked the fact that C-3PO is in the new Solo movie.
Oh right. I thought I was going to ask who the fuck is Anthony Daniels, because I didn't know that was him. It wouldn't surprise me that C-3PO's in it. He has been in pretty much. He's been in all of them.
All of them. He's the only person. Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, interestingly, perhaps a bit cruel this, that while James has got a sore throat and can't talk much, but I've got something I wanted to mention about Star Wars as well, and that is that I decided a couple of nights ago that I was going to re-watch Episode 8. Because I when we talked about it when we went to the cinema to watch it, I said then that, like, we talked about it in quite a lot at that time, but I did say I would wait again until I've watched it at home in the comfort of my own home to see if the lack of numb arse from a cinema seat has any effect on how I portrayed the movie. And you know what? I actually did enjoy it a hell of a lot more watching it at home. I did think it was a considerably better film than I remember sort of watching at the cinema. I think I took in more of what was happening on the screen as well. A few key points or things that were said that didn't really sink in when I was at the cinema because my mind was thinking, I wish I had a cushion to sit on.
And your face was in your popcorn.
Yeah. But I really enjoyed it.
I did as well.
Are we allowed to laugh at him?
I couldn't tell what you said then, James.
I did as well. I much preferred it at home.
No, it definitely sounds like James is struggling. So James has just said, for anyone that couldn't hear, that he preferred it at home as well. And what I will say is, if James's voice is going, then we don't have to keep the podcast going too long. I know it's awful when you've got a sore throat and you want to talk and you can't.
I enjoy listening, so don't feel like you have to stop because of my sore throat.
Well, you haven't heard Ray trying to do a Chinese accent yet. You might not enjoy that.
You kidding me on? I've got Chinese neighbours. They'll be coming up for a party.
Should we move on to getting Ray to do some Chinese then?
You can try if you like.
Go on.
Right, hang on a mo. Let me just send you something. Hang on a minute. Oh, I sent it to you, didn't I, Dave? I'll just copy it back off there. Yeah. Right, so I need you to... It's basically song lyrics, Ray, okay? And all I need you to do is do it in a Chinese accent.
I'm fucking Scottish. What accent can I do?
Chinese one. If a Dutchman can try and do it, I'm sure you can.
I'm sure I'll just take my microphone downstairs and get him to do
it. Right, okay. Are you ready, Ray? 'Cause I'm about to send it to you.
Right, go on. What the fuck? That's a essay.
We're waiting.
I'm reading over. I'm getting into the zone. What the fuck is this? A Cheeky Girls or something? Isn't it? I'm not in the first part. That's shite. Don't be shy. Touch my bum. This is life. We are the cheeky girls. We are the cheeky girls. You are the cheeky boys. You are the cheeky boys. There you go. That's enough for
I like
that
the way he got quieter and quieter as though he realised, hang on, people might hear me saying this.
Well, the fact that people might hear him saying this, well, I take it your missus is in the same room as you, Ray, at the minute.
She's sleeping now.
Oh, okay. That's a shame. We'll have to wake her up so that she can have a little listen, or I'll send her an edited version of this when you get a chance to. Once we've finished the podcast.
Next one.
All right, you just need to read this out. Basically it's one-liners. You don't need to do it in any other accent than your own. It's fine.
Oh, what the hell? I'm not drunk enough. My wife asked me to say dirty things. No, to hell. I can't do that. I say bar, kitchen, living room. My son wanted to know what it's like. No, I can't do them. Sorry, I can't do it. I'm Scottish.
Just read it then.
My son wanted to know what it's like to be married. I told him leave me alone, and when he did, I asked him why he was ignoring me. Aye, right. Nah. Where am I? My wife told me she needs some more space. I said no problem and locked her out of the house. Aye, that'll be right. My wife and I have been married quite a few years, and my wife asked me recently to get some pills that would make sure I'd been up to some action in the bedroom again. I brought home diet pills, apparently very much not what you meant. Marriage is an institution of 3 rings, aye. Engagement ring, wedding ring, and suffering.
That's true.
A man noticed his credit card had been stolen, but he never reported it. The thief was still spending considerably less than his wife. Why is it always wife jokes?
Because he wanted your missus to be sat in the room listening to you say these.
Well, the wind's greeting, so she will wake up soon. The missus asked me, "Do you think I gained weight?" "No, I think the living room gets smaller."
Okay, that's a good one. That is, I think the room gets smaller.
The missus and I have had a very happy 20 years before we met. What? I've never been married, but I can imagine how it feels. I once had a stone stuck in my shoe for 10 hours. Nah. I haven't spoken a word to my missus in years. She hates to be interrupted. The missus told me to go and get something that would make her look sexy so I get drunk. She just woke up and they just that was tipped out.
So how many of them are true then, Ray?
None.
Yeah, good answer. Good answer. But you got any more?
No, that was it. That was it.
Okay, I've got a little puzzle for you, right? I might not get this entirely right, but a little puzzle for you. Serial killer kidnaps people, right, and gives them a choice. He gives them 2 pills and a glass of water. So he's got a glass of water himself. His victim's got a glass of water, and there's 2 pills on the table. And he gives his victims the choice of which pill to take. One of them will kill him, one of them won't. Whichever pill the victim chooses, the serial killer will take the other pill. And every time the serial killer survives. How? That's got him thinking.
Go through it again. I'm Scottish.
Okay, so there's a serial killer, right? And he's done this to a lot of people. He kidnaps them and takes them to a dungeon somewhere. Sits them at a table, and the serial killer's got a glass of water. The victim's got a glass of water, and there's 2 pills on the table. And he says to the victim, right, you can choose one of these pills. One of them will kill you, one of them won't. Whichever pill you choose, I will take the other. And every time the serial killer survives. How?
Because they choose the one that kills them.
Nope.
Both pills are the same, but he doesn't take his pill.
Nope.
He's immune.
Nope. Steve was close.
Right, he waits for the other person to die first.
He never swallows.
Sorry, James. No, you're wrong.
James was up with a serial killer.
Would you like to be put out of your misery?
Go on, then.
The pills are the same. It's the water that's poisoned.
Oh, he's a smart ass.
Yeah. See, Steve was close, but he went down the direction of the wrong way. There was a couple of others of those. I saw there was a video on YouTube, and it was an FBI test, and it kind of got me thinking about the Secret Service job application I saw from a few weeks ago. So I decided to watch it this morning, and it was kind of these little tests like that. I'm trying to think what a couple of the others were, but I can't remember off the top of my head at the moment. Yeah, here's another one for you. Right, there's a man and a woman sat at a table, and they order 5 glasses of water with ice. Right, the woman drinks 4 of them quite quick. The man takes his time drinking 1. The man dies, the woman doesn't, and all the drinks were poisoned. So how did the woman survive?
She's absolutely massive and fat, so her body can absorb the poison easier.
No. Would you like me to go through it again one more time?
Yeah, I'm thinking. So she drank them fast, he drank them slow. They were laid with poison, with ice. 'Cause his watered down.
What do you mean?
Well, the ice melted and watered down the poison.
But he died and she didn't.
Oh, fuck. I thought it was the other way around, sorry.
No, she drank 4 quickly, he drank 1 slowly, she survived, he died.
The ice was the poison.
Well done, Ray. The poison was in the ice, and because she drank it quickly, the ice hadn't melted, releasing the poison. He drank it slow, the poison went into the water and killed him.
But so she's left the ice in the glass.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There you go. Well done. That's all of them that I can think of at the moment that I could remember. So, guys, you got anything else that you want to discuss? You want to talk about?
Yeah, I've got breaking news for Steve.
Oh, go on then.
My father-in-law's fixed my my PS4, so I'll be on tomorrow at some point.
I've got a teammate then for tomorrow. Well, for Thursday mainly, but yeah, cool. That's great stuff.
Well, I tell you what, Ray. The other guests that we've had on the show, we've asked them what their thoughts are, the differences between Codemasters F1 games, Project Cars, racing games on PC. And I know that you have been doing a bit of driving on PC, so I'm curious to get your thoughts on which system game you think is best.
PC, without a doubt, PC.
Which game?
Which game? I like the simulation, so it's got to be a factor too. I don't like plug-in and play games. I like where you've got to tweak it as much as possible, and your settings, even going into your files and sorting out wee bits in the files as well.
So how have you found jumping back onto F1 2017 on the PlayStation?
A nightmare.
Well, if PC is more, say, sim, more realistic, wouldn't PS4 be easier for you?
No, because it's a different style of driving. Where I think I could do this here, hit the brakes here. I go and do it on the PS4 and I stop like a brick. What the hell?
It's interesting you say it, because I found it to be quite similar. On the PC I found it's more technical, I think it's more realistic, there's a hell of a lot more to it. But I thought that jumping back onto a PS4 would be easy. Whether it be Project Cars or F1, but I didn't find it easy to go and jump back on them because the car wasn't doing what I was expecting it should do. I mean, Project Cars, I must admit, Project Cars drove me fucking mental with is it the Formula 4s or the Formula 3000s or whatever they're called, no rear wing open wheeler. I mean, I've been driving F1 cars on games for years, driven LMPs, driven all sorts of cars. At the time, I was pretty good. But I tried playing Project Cars 2, and all of a sudden, I've got a car that was just getting so much oversteer, either under braking or lifting off. And I'm like, okay, how do I fix this? And there wasn't enough setup options to try and fix it, or what I thought should fix it didn't fix it. And I must admit, it drove me fucking mental. It did actually piss me off. It pissed me off to a point where I was like, right, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to put a fucking ABS on, I'm going to put fucking traction control on, or like I'm going to put ABS on, but I don't want traction control. But then the game's saying, no, if you've got ABS, you've got to have traction control. And it was like, oh, you know what, right, fuck this, turn it off. So I didn't find it easy going back onto console either.
Nah. I just, I don't. Well, when I hit the brakes, it was stopping like a brick, and you're like, where on R Factor 2, you hit the brakes, you're still going for a wee bit longer. And you're like, well, maybe it's a scaling of the tracks. I don't know.
It could be. I mean, obviously on R Factor as well, I mentioned this before, you have real roads. So if you go onto a track that's not been driven on by yourself before, it's a completely green track. And so you kind of have to put rubber down. The more rubber goes down, the better the grip is. I mean, I must admit, I'm hoping in a way that that's something that Codemasters will bring in. I mean, okay, the games do have an inbuilt rubbering in system, but it's kind of like, it doesn't matter how many cars are there, it'll do it automatically. It doesn't matter. I mean, on R Factor, if you load up a track that's no one's driven on, and you drive offline into a braking zone every time, then that bit will rubber in, not the racing line. Whereas on Code is, if you brake it offline all the time, it's still the racing line that rubbers in. So I'm hoping they do go a little bit more realistic with that. But in turn then, Steve, hearing like Ray say something like that, I mean, are you tempted to go down the route of PC racing?
I'd love to. It's just can't afford it. I can't fund it. I mean, I don't know enough about PCs to be able to try and build one myself on the cheap. So if I was to want to do it, to go out and purchase one that would be just good enough, you're still talking 600, 700, 800 quid's worth.
YouTube. So YouTube. I'll help you.
What, help me build one?
Yeah. You need a PC to be able to watch YouTube.
You've not seen my soldering skills.
No, you don't need to solder. It's all pre-built. All you're doing is plugging in.
Yeah, I just don't know enough about electronics.
I mean, it's definitely not an easy way to go if you're not confident with computer. I mean, it's like me with the computer I'm using. If something goes wrong with it, I'm stuffed. I ain't got a clue. It doesn't matter how many YouTube videos. I mean, YouTube videos can be great and all that, but I know from previous experience of taking stuff apart and trying to put it back together, it never fucking works properly. So there's certain things that I'll go, right, okay, yeah, I'm not going to try fixing that because I can't.
And the thing is, what I like about PS4 is you turn it on and it works, or should work, shouldn't it, Ray? Whereas with a PC, the different programs you need to download and the different bits and pieces you need to, the different files you need to make certain things work, and you'll get an error message come from. I'll be like, what the fuck does that mean? Whereas on PlayStation, it's plug in and play. But I think Codemasters should be looking to make F1 games more true to life.
Yeah, an F1 game should be a simulation. I mean, okay, if a PlayStation or an Xbox console is not powerful enough to run F1 as a simulation, then at least the PC version should. I mean, R Factor 2 I think is a very good simulation. I mean, we had Kev Brooks on the show a few weeks ago, who used to race on PlayStation with us and has gone to PC recently, and it is tough. It is really, really tough to be competitive when you're new to it, and being of the slightly older generation. I mean, one of the things that I'm finding, there's a few things to it. It is more complicated, considerably more complicated. So if you are at a lack of knowledge with a computer, you're already a step behind. But then you've got 15, 16, 17, 18-year-olds that have been brought up with computers in their life, or computers in school and stuff like that, and it's not necessarily second nature, but there's more knowledgeable on it. So they come into sim racing online on PC at a younger age. So what we were doing on PlayStation 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago, they're doing at a younger age on PC now. So there's another step behind that you become. And admittedly, I do miss the being able to just plug in and play. It is very frustrating having to download, update, and it does get a little bit tedious. But I don't know if you guys know, but I mean, this is something that James may be interested to hear, because I know he kind of likes his computers a bit. Microsoft released an update, the May update recently. And
I've not installed it yet.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. Now, I think mine's on automatic update, so I would guess mine has done it automatically. But what the update has done has basically stopped USB devices from working properly. So the amount of sim racers, and to begin with it was mainly Logitech users, they couldn't get their steering wheels to work. Right, so there's people that are in competitive race leagues and stuff like that have had the update done on their computer, but all of a sudden no USB devices are working, and it started off being steering wheels, then it was headsets, then it was other items, and basically Microsoft has released an update that has just completely, to a degree, fucked the systems for thousands of people. And there's a lot of people that have been saying if you're on on manual update, don't update it, because it's just not worth the hassle. And whether Microsoft are going to release a new update or not, I don't know, but people have been scrambling around for the last week or so to try and do workarounds, because even uninstalling and reinstalling drivers hasn't been working. And for anyone that doesn't know about PCs, that won't mean anything to you, but for anyone that does know about PCs, then you'll know what I'm on about there.
Well, my Logitech's still working. I've got for the PC, I've got the G290. For my, it's mostly because I do truck simulator to chill out at night. So that's still working. So I've not updated then.
I did buy. I think it was Truck Simulator 1 or 2. It was cheap on Steam. But the steering wheel worked, but the pedals didn't, and I was like, oh fuck that then. So I never actually got to drive around, but I thought, oh fuck it, I'll do it for a bit of a laugh. But I couldn't get the pedals to work.
Did you change the setting? Is it? I think they need to be inverted. I'm not too sure.
Well, neither of them did anything. Basically, I'd looked at reassigning the buttons, and it just wouldn't recognise the pedals for some reason. So I thought, well, for £3, it wasn't even £3. I think it was about £1.50 for the game. But I thought,
that might have been the first one, because Euro Truck Simulator 2, there's a guy called Squirrel, and you sound dead like him if you look him up.
I have heard about that before, actually. Yeah.
You sound dead like him, and he's one of the top ones in Euro Truck Simulator 2, and it's a big, massive thing. It's not just a wee game so many people have got, it's global.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's a little bit like flight simulators. They are massive games, and people have been spending thousands creating airplane cockpits. Because you know how you can get racing cockpits for your games, you can get flight simulator cockpits as well.
Yeah. And then you've got the mods on PC that you don't have on PS consoles that help better your gaming experience.
Yeah, I mean that is something that I do like about PC, is that if I want to go and drive on a track, I can literally just search to see if there is one and then download it and I can go. Whereas on PlayStation you can't do that. I must admit I'm still annoyed with DLCs on PlayStation. The idea of buying a game and then having to buy more on a game. But I mean, you look at Fortnite. I mean, I know me and Steve have tried playing Fortnite. We didn't get on with it. It's not our type of game. But Fortnite has become massive. Now, with a game like that, I don't have a problem with the game creators going, you know what, here's a game, it's free. You don't even need PlayStation Plus for it. But we are going to have DLC on it. Okay, fair enough. no problem with that. You've got to try and make some money somewhere. I don't have any issue with that whatsoever. But what I do have issue with is whether it's F1, Project Cars, FIFA, Call of Duties, Battlefields, all of these games that are like, right, the game is 50, 60, yeah, 50, 60 quid. Oh, and by the way, if you want to be any good at it, you're probably going to want to spend another 50, 60 quid on downloads. And then when the new game comes out, yeah, we might give you a little bonus for having bought them, but then you're also going to have to spend another 50. And it's like, no, come on. It's, well, I was going to say it's a little bit like having a wife, but actually that's more expensive, probably. Yeah. So, but there you go.
There's pros and cons to each one, but I prefer...
Or each wife.
No.
That's the thought. Actually, Steve, did you get into trouble last week for saying girlfriend instead of wife?
No, it wasn't heard.
All right, you're all right.
It's alright, I'll make sure it's heard. I've got her on my Facebook as well. Hey,
Yep.
You're in trouble.
Oh, yeah.
But they've got their pros, they've got their cons. PS4's broke, but my PC's been okay. It's not had an issue at all. So
Well, you've done it now.
Yep.
Well,
Yeah,
You've said it now.
PC's going to pack up. I mean, thing is, I'm thinking about like James, for example. James hasn't been able to plug his racing league this week, so I'll do it for him. James is running obviously a Project Cars league called FRR Project Cars. You can find it on Twitter. Now, what you can, I'm thinking about James with the editing that he does of the replays to be able to put a recording out of the race that they've had. Now, obviously, I used to edit videos as well on PlayStation, and I must admit, it is a bit of a pain in the arse. There's so much that you kind of have to do. It's like you have to record it, then you have to download it, then you have to edit it on a computer, or I think James is using a Mac tablet. So there's a lot of faffing about to be able to get a recording of what he wants to produce onto YouTube. And I'm just thinking, maybe that's something that Sony need to consider. Okay, it's great that you can live stream from a PlayStation onto YouTube. Obviously, that's something we never used to have in the past. But I'm wondering whether they do need to give more tools. I mean, we used to talk about when we were doing a live broadcast, if you press the PlayStation XMB button, it'd bring up a shitty blue screen. It would be brilliant if you could actually go, you know what, I'm part of a racing league, I want to put a particular picture on the screen when that image is being shown. So instead of it showing a shitty blue screen, it can actually advertise what I'm doing. So there's a lot of little things like that that I think Sony could do with the PlayStation to make it better. But I still always have this issue of, with the PlayStation or even Xbox, is they are a games console, but they have tried to make them into a multimedia internet device. I don't think, if they focused on, right, it's a games console, right, and you can do gaming stuff on it, and that's it. Scrap the being able to watch Netflix movies, scrap all of that off of it. All of a sudden you're freeing up a hell of a lot of capability to make the PlayStation gaming better.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, I'm having issues because I've went to 3 screens with recording on a PC, but that's just setting issues and the software I use for recording. But I don't know. Even PC, if you've got too much crap on it, it's going to break up. So they're kind of equal, but there's pros and cons, and it's what you prefer that comes out at the end of the day.
That is true. So, Steve, anything else you want to mention?
Nope.
Ray, anything else you want to mention?
Nah.
James, anything else you want to mention? No.
He's got a lightsaber in his mouth.
I mean, I do feel for James with having a sore throat. It's fucking awful. when you're not feeling too well. Obviously, we've already done our predictions for the Spanish Grand Prix that's coming up this weekend. I'm hoping to be able to try and watch it live. I still think it's going to be another safety car affected race, but it'll be interesting to see what is going to happen. But if you guys have got nothing else that you want to bring up or mention, we can probably look at bringing the podcast to an end.
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
Yeah, I'm happy.
Okie doke. Right, well, Ray, thank you very much for joining us. It's been interesting to get your insight on a few things F1 and not F1, and we'll see if you do shit yourself within this next week, as James has predicted. But yeah, thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me, actually.
You're welcome. Just never try doing a Chinese accent. It doesn't go with Scottish accent at all.
What you want? That's only 3 words I can say.
Yeah. Well, as James says, it's always good when trying to do accents to have a baseline saying or noise that you make.
Warm up.
Yeah, a warm up. So James is Chinese, it tends to be or something like that. Whereas mine is salt vinegar. And Steve's is just grumpy. Anyway.
Next time I'll go downstairs and get him.
No comment. So yeah, anyway, for the listeners, thank you for listening in. Join us next Tuesday for a review of the Spanish Grand Prix, where we'll see how we did on our predictions. Hopefully James's voice will be better then as well, and maybe he'll be able to...
Soon.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe he'll be able to talk to us more about when he rewatched Star Wars Episode 8. I bet that's killing him, you know, the fact that I just randomly watched it this week and he can't talk about it. I'd be absolutely screwing his nut, but he could bring it up next week. That won't be a problem. Steve, thanks for being here once again. James, hope you get better. For the listeners, tune in next week and make sure you like, subscribe and share. Have a good one, folks, and we'll see you next time.
Blah 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 blah.